Pro contra ideias e assunto, ideologia, política, justiça, defesa, segurança, economia, social, educação no cultura, exclusivo, crítico no construtivo, TVE debate, sai inspiração para o futuro.
Good evening from Timor-Leste, especially from the studio of São Miguel, Arcanjo, Timor-Leste. Wherever you are, either in Timor-Leste or across the globe, we are very happy to have you this evening to join us for this very important debate between students across high schools in Timor-Leste. I hope that throughout that break you are able to grab a quick coffee, because we have very exciting debate coming up in the next session of this debate. So this round of the debate, to my left, I'll be having the Cinco DeMaio students, and to my left is the Técnico Informática. My apology for not being able to remember their school's name very well, but of course, what is exciting is that I'm going to have the opportunity to be the host for the second round of this debate. Please join me to give a round of applause for our contestant this evening. So to kickstart our second round of this debate, of course, I'd like to invite our contestants to be able to introduce themselves. The floor is yours. If I could start with you. Thank you, sir.
Well, thanks for this great opportunity that's given for our team. Before we are going to start our presentation, first of all, we'd like to give our greetings to the judges, to all of the participants that are watching this live streaming, and to all of the participants that are participating for this evening event. And also my respectful to Sir Jules Reyes as a host that has given us the time to introduce ourselves. So my name is Elio Espiritu Santo da Costa Jimenez, and this is my friend
Gracia Remnica Susam Filho.
And we are from Technical Computer School. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you could also introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Robs. So before we are going to start our presentation, we don't forget to say our respectful for committees, hosts, and all those participants are here. So once again, good evening. So before we are going to start our presentation, so we would like to introduce ourselves to everybody. So my name is Teotonio da Silva Cardozo. She is my friend.
My name is Luciana Conceição da Cruz.
And we are from Secondary High School Cinco DeMaio, Becora Dili. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Again, if we could loudly join me to give a big round of applause for our contestants who are joining us here. Thank you very much. Once again, all the viewers across the world in Timor-Leste and of course in the studio of College São Miguel, let us assist the debate this evening for the second round of the event. I'd like to start, if I could give the opportunity to the Técnico Informática school to be able to demonstrate the understanding of the concept which has been given to them to do research prior. So if you could present your findings of that and your argument will be great. The floor is yours.
Once again, thanks for an opportunity. Before I'm going to start, and my respect again to the judges and to all of the participants here. So as we know in this moment, our debating topic is talking about what is the main cause of education system that implicated the quality of teaching and learning during the independence. Before I'm going to give in the definition of education in East Timor, I would like to give some short introduction of this topic. In this topic is asking about the quality of teaching and learning. So let me ask some questions. the quality of teaching and the quality of learning have been lowered. Means the quality of teachers and the students are lower. Since the recognition of RDTL's independence through the international, the government of East Timor was performing well in a various sector, such as education sector, religious sector, health sector, and on the other sectors. Between all of those sectors, the government of East Timor considered and put the education of East Timor, the education in East Timor or the education sector in East Timor is the first priority of all those sectors. So what's the definition of education in East Timor? Education in East Timor is a basic need for everyone. As written in our constitution for the 59th article in the first verse said, the government or the state will recognize and guarantee every citizen of education and culture that is obliged to promote the establishment of a general system of basic education that is universal and compulsory as long as possible free charge under the law. So what does this constitution tell us about? In this constitution, I can conclude it that to all the population who are part in East Timor, especially the children, has a right to access education in East Timor. According to the constitution of RDTL, for the 13th article in the first verse said, education in our country, East Timor, has two official languages. They are Tetun and Portuguese. And that's also the reason why we are part of CPSC, or Community of Portuguese-Speaking Countries. And I must say, Timor-Leste's education must be on advanced level. Because why? We made a cooperation with a lot of countries. Our education is getting supported by other countries that really will to help us. So I'm going to give in of why the reason or the aim why Timor-Leste made a cooperation between Portugal and Brazil. The first objective is to improve the quality of teachers in all corners in Timor-Leste. The second objective is to develop Portuguese and print the science book. As we know, for this moment, we are still using those books. And all of those books are written in Portuguese. Because why? We made a cooperation with those two countries, and we are using those books. And the third objective is to support the socio-economic development by strengthening the professional education. And the last aim is to support and strengthen the professional or the quality of teacher system and implementation. And now I'm going to give in what are the causes that implicated to the quality of teaching and learning have been lowering during the independence. Ladies and gentlemen, in this time, I have 4 main causes that I consider that East Timor, the education of East Timor is suffering right now. What are those main causes? The first main cause is the quality of education. The second main cause is the prevalence of education. And the third main cause is the management of education. And the last one is elitism. And I will explain each of them one by one. The quality of education. There's also one important point in the quality of education, like in the Portuguese language. As we know, Portuguese language is our official language. But when we look at the real condition, the majority of teachers from Timorese, most of them are graduated from Indonesia. How can the teachers are learning other language, and when they come to school and they're teaching other language? So that must be affect to the student as well. And the second point is the school building is not offering the best infrastructure that adequate to the students, such as in learning aids, textbooks, and we can look at the real situation like there is no chairs, tables, and other things.
Thank you very much. That was really good as to how you have articulated the whole thing. The issues based on the Constitution of Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, which outlines very clearly as to why education is an important element for development. Of course, this will be further articulated, but of course, I'd love to hand the floor to Cinco de Mayo representative to be able to give your. But prior to that, please give a big round of applause for those who have presented their findings. Thank you. The floor is yours. Thank you.
So one more thank you for folks. And before we're going to express our feeling about this topic, so we don't forget to say some words from education. So education is more important in our life. If without education, surely we can change the life. Suffer in the short time, pleasure better than suffer in the long time. Everybody needs to face the challenge. Through the challenge, we can achieve our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic we are bringing for today is talking about what is the main cause of education system that implicated the quality of teaching and learning that have been lower during independence. From our point of view, this topic is very essential for everyone, especially for Timor-Leste students. And also, through this topic can teach us how will we have a good quality of teaching and learning for our future in particular, but the future of a digital nation. Talking about the topic of quality from the aspect of education is nothing but talking about the future of the nation that will produce human resource to fill the independence process properly and responsibly. Thus, we have 3 points, we have important points to discuss at this time, among others. The curriculum system in Timor-Leste must reflect the results of teaching, which will later lead people to local and international brains, so that leaders, especially the special ministers in Timor-Leste, must conduct a good and concrete evaluation of the results of graduates every year to compare the quality of the nation or not. This requires the responsibility of all components of the nation, so that while we come to ask the very competent components in the Minister of Education to look at the aspect of professional duties. This emphasizes the aspect of calling and education which is full of sacrifice, because the main pillars and especially come from educators. Therefore, a good teacher must understand the whole teaching by understanding the meaning of teaching methodology. Why do we say that the curriculum system in Timor-Leste is important and must reflect aspects of the needs of a nation's society? Because the determining factor to produce quality natural resource, of course, comes from human resource, which are measured through a plan from the aspect of the nation's curriculum. We are aware and feel aware that in the Portuguese and Indonesia era, education was only limited to people who were rich and close to school. But now, the law in Timor-Leste, especially the editorial constitution from Article 59, certifies that everyone, especially the children of the retail nation, all have absolute rights for access to school. This requires us to emphasize the quality not of the students who learn, but the teachers who is the first and the main factor. And we will hear that of this, and we are now waiting for the leaders, how all are happy to hear that the results of graduates every year are very satisfying. But the balance between graduation and the demands of work, is there or not? If there is, where is it? And if not, what is the impact. So thank you.
Thank you very much. If you could join me to give a round of applause for both teams, actually. Thank you very much. So I guess, of course, again, the way our children have articulated their understanding about the education system in English, it's outstanding. It's unbelievable. By listening to them, putting my mind at rest that Timor-Leste will be in good hands one day. Again, give a big round of applause for such improvement in the education system. Of course, I know for sure this debate is to criticize how much the government hasn't done in terms of to contribute towards improving the education quality in the country. But yet, they have shown that there is a lot that has contributed towards their personal development. I have a number of questions, of course. So you have mentioned about quality of education needs to be improved. Can you articulate how it can be improved?
The question is asking about what is the best solution, or can I hear the question again? Can I hear the question again? Repeat the question.
So you're saying some things need to be improved in order to improve the quality of education. What I'm asking is, how do you improve? Of course, you can, of course, chip in. Your partner can chip in also, because this is a debate. It will be very good if you can have equal contribution to the debate to make sure it's interesting. I know for sure our viewers would like to hear from you, just as, you know, equal contribution from girls and boys, men and women. And so, yes, so my question is, you say some things need to be improved in order to improve the quality of education. My question is, how do we improve?
The best way that we improve the education is the government must pay attention more to the quality of education. The government must pay attention to the quality of education in East Timor. An example, like I've said earlier, the quality of Portuguese and there are quality of people who speak Portuguese in East Timor are low. So it's also related to the quality of education. An example, we learn Portuguese start from grade 1 until grade 12. And that's, I can say we learn Portuguese for 12 years. But after learning that, we'll not know how to speak the Portuguese. Because in the school, you only keep theory or writing and writing. There is no practice and method that implicated in our school. So the best way is that we need to improve is to put more or make another method that we must practice more and more that can be balanced with the theory that we are doing in the school.
Thank you. So again, if I could hear from you, because the thing is, the boys have been the one that is talking a lot. I'd like to hear from the girls as well. Girls having equivalent opportunity to say, you see, we're talking about gender equality. I'd like to, of course, encourage the girls to say also. So if I could ask you that, of course, all of you have been talking about the fact that the quality of education in Timor is poor. The topic itself of your debate is saying that the education is poor. How can you improve that? What strategies do you need to put in place to improve that? So if I could invite you to be the first one to respond to this question.
Okay, so I just have. So we wanna have the best quality of education. So we talk about this. We need to base on our government, because we know that everything is coming from government. If we have a full of skills, we have capacity, but government look down the opportunity for us. That's nothing, because we know that everything is coming from government.
That was very good in terms of the response provided to the question. My follow-up questions to that is that, of course, the quality of education is poor. You can communicate directly to the government. On behalf of the students across the country, what do you say to the government to improve the quality of education?
So like now, we have discourse, we have debate. If like this, if the words, or we as a student, or we as a new generation for this country, we need to have a good method. We need to have good manner. So they also can feel what to do for the future, because we have to prepare now.
Thank you for that response. What are your views on this? I'd like to invite you, if you could start, but of course, the same question. If you are to have an opportunity to communicate, what is the best way to be able to improve the education for all the people across the country so that we have a good competition in the country?
My best opinion is the government is have to take serious or have to focus on all of the students or the scholarship or every school in our country. It's mean that the government have to have to give opportunity or to focus for the students that have a skill and to promote them so the skill that they have will be advanced in our country. That's all. Thank you.
A big round of applause for such wonderful responses to the questions have been asked. To follow up on that, of course, you, the team, you have been listening to what your opponents have been presenting, and the same as you as well. Now I'd like to give an opportunity. Have you got any specific question that you'd like to ask the team from the left-hand side of me?
Okay, thank you for the times or the opportunities. I have some question to ask. In the first place, you have talked about the curriculum. So I just want you to explain more as well the real cause of the curriculum is, what is the real cause of the curriculum? That's it, that's all.
Can you just explain the last part? So what about the curriculum?
The real cause or the cause that implicated the curriculum that made the teaching or the teaching and learning process that have been lowered. The cause that can you explain as well the real cause of curriculum? That's all. That's my question.
Okay, thank you. So why we take the curriculum? Because as I said just now, everything is coming from government. Because if we have skill and we have capacity, but government look down the opportunity for us, that's useless. And we take the curriculum is not running well because talk about curriculum in East Timor during independence is not running well. And we have to compare about before and now. Why before our grandfather or grandma, they just study until 4-year students, but they already know how to speak Portuguese language. But now, why? Many youths, they have been finishing their studying, started from primary high school until secondary high school, they are unable to speak Portuguese language. And these are happen because we are less of the curriculum. Thank you.
So just quickly, of course, the responses. Your question was about curriculum, but he's highlighting the importance of curriculum, given the fact that during Portuguese time, our grandparents, they learned that they speak very good Portuguese. So it is a matter of improving curriculum. I'd like to give you the opportunity, of course, to ask questions to your opponents based on what they have presented. Please.
Okay. So just now you said which manner are you going to know about the system of quality of teaching and learning lower? Which manner?
I cannot understand what you're saying. Can you just make a short conclusion or a short question that makes us easy to understand?
So thank you. I just asked you about which manner are you going to know about the quality of teaching and learning lower during independence.
Are you asking about the main cause of education or what?
Did he say which manner? Yes. The strategy, the method. Yeah. So he's referring to the method of teaching. So again, can you reframe the question?
Which manner are you going to know about the quality of teaching and learning is lower?
So you're saying, how do you determine the quality? Is it your question? Yes. So his question is, how do you determine that the quality of education is poor?
Because it was a time, so I cannot even finish my presentation yet. So here I have four main causes. The four main causes are the quality of education, and also the relevance education, and the third cause is the education management, and the last one is elitism. So in the quality of education, like I've said, the school building is not offering a good infrastructure that is very adequate to the students. How can we say the quality of education in East Timor, but we don't have chairs and tables that complete in the school? We cannot only compare the education that in Dili, but we also can compare the education that is also in a rural area or in other district. So your question is asking about how can we determine that? And I'm saying the four causes already. I think you can understand what I'm saying.
That was very good. So again, of course, the question was asking, thank you. The question was asking, of course, how do you determine that the quality of education is poor? So the answer is, of course, the infrastructure, the teaching method, and all these, that is a contributing factors to determine the quality of education. And so this is, I think for me, personally, I'm satisfied with the responses that has been provided in terms of the counter argument that they have. Of course, that can be further shaped as years go on, not understanding that they are only in high school. And so there is a lot of time to be able to improve and shaping the language much better. But of course, again, if I could invite you to ask a question to the opponent, that would be great. Will you be able to do that, please?
Okay, thanks. Can you repeat the question? I don't have question to say.
Can you repeat that, please?
I don't have question to say.
You don't have any question right now? Okay, then I'm giving you an opportunity because that, not you, if you can give that lady a question, for her to ask the question.
So the other question is, we back to old days in a few years ago, or when we were not independent, when we are not independent, like you can explain that what is the difference between when in old days our grandfathers and grandmother have learned Portuguese or speaking Portuguese, but they don't go through education. So if in the old days that the education is not complete or they don't have the facilities of complete the education, so why in these futures or in these present situations, why the teachers, the children or the students didn't understand Portuguese or speaking Portuguese? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so thank you. Because we know that, like we have mentioned about the system of curriculum in East Timor country is not running well. Because, like I have said just now, when we have to be balanced about before and now, and these are happen means that we are less of the system curriculum in East Timor.
Have you got any additional comment on that? Let me again, if I could encourage you to involve in participating in that debate, that would be great. So, of course, have you got any further question? Okay. Do you have any question for
Yes,
the
I have a
opponent?
question for him. And you're saying, just now you just say that you're talking all to the government. But let me say, as we are a new generation, we cannot only giving all of the responsibility to the government. As a new generation, you must think, what is the best way? You cannot give all of the responsibility to the government. You must think, what is the best way that you think it's a very great way for you. And another one, and you are saying that it's very different, it's a very difference before and now of speaking Portuguese. For, like before, our grandparents and our grandparents, they learn Portuguese until only grade 4. But here comes the question. What's the difference or what's the main cause the Portuguese from before until now? The question is, before we don't apply yet our own education like in this time. But before, we still using the Portuguese education system, but we know how to speak Portuguese. But what makes until now we cannot know how to speak Portuguese?
Okay.
So just quickly, of course, with that argument, I'd like to, of course, get your response to that. So again, if you are comparing this debate, hot debate, I'd consider, is that, of course, he's saying that not everything should be the government's responsibility. As the new generation, as the people, what are we doing to contribute? So I'd like to, of course, get your response as the new generation, rather than for us to say the government's fault, you're not improving in education, rather for the people and the new generation. What are your thoughts on this? I'd like to, of course, get a response from you that in terms of what he said, that it's not the government's fault as always, but we have a part to play also. Would you like to respond to that?
Okay. So your question, we cannot depend too much for the government. Yes, exactly. We cannot depend. But as a new generation, we have to figure out something we have not known. But like I have said, because the reality we see in our country, we just have system of family. Because we can be an expert, but the government just choose each other, we might not be like this. And the second, about before and now. Like, before, our grandfather or grandmother, they just studied till 4-year student, but they already know how to speak. Because they still adapt the situation of Portuguese, because before we have not independence. But now, many youths, they have been finishing their studying, but they're unable to speak Portuguese. Like I have said, that we are less of system curriculum, because we know that everything is coming from government. Thank you.
So, of course, you both are in agreement that in the past there was a system, but now the system is poor, that our grandparents can speak Portuguese because they were learning in a system compared to ours. So you both are in agreement on that. But any further question?
I have a question for him. And you are saying our grandparents, they learn Portuguese only until grade 4, and they know how to speak Portuguese. But the problem is they don't really know how to write in Portuguese. And based on our time right now, we know how to write, we know how to read, but we don't know how to speak. So what's the problem of that?
Like I have said, because we still adapt with Portuguese, because the Timorans have not independence. So that's why we can know, but we might not write. But now we know how to write and how to read, but we cannot speak. And these are happen because we are lack of imagination. We are lack of informal. We are lack of non-formal education.
To a certain extent, I agree with answers that in terms of course, in the past, they didn't know how to write and speak. We need to look back at the history and to be able to find out about it. These are some of the things that only further research will be able to identify what the issues are as to why they were in grade 4 they could speak very good Portuguese? Was it because they had a lot of practices in speaking while they're at home? And why is it today that, of course, people can write really well, but they don't speak really well? Was it because there's not much practices? This kind of thing. That remains a question that can be further researched. But of course, you know, to be fair, I'd like to, of course, ask him to ask a question, because you have asked further questions for the debate to flow in a manner. I'd like to, of course, if you have got any further questions. If you don't, it's fine.
No.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, please join me to give a big round of applause for such a debate this evening. Yes. Also, again, this time we have 3 judges in front of us. Thank you very much for your time to join us this evening with this debate. For this session of our debate, of course, we'll give the judges, 3 judges who are sitting in front of us, to be able to provide some questions. Each judge has 2 questions. Of course, the option of giving 2 questions, but please make sure to the point, but don't use PowerPoint, if you understand me. So to the point, so that our children can understand. So the floor is yours, sirs and madam. If you can give your question, please. Thank you.
This. Okay. Thank you so much for the moderator that has give me the chance. I know all the question has covered by the both side and also the moderator, but I would like to ask both sides about, as you already asking each other, but just want to know, what do you think is the best solution to overcome this problem? The teaching and learning process that you say it's poor in this country. So what's your strategy, and what do you think is the best way to overcome this problem? And then, as the moderator has said, we have 2 questions. So I want to ask one more question. It's about the question is, I just want to ask you, if you were the Minister of Education in Timor-Leste, what will you do to improve this poor education system? Thank you.
So thank you for that question. Very clear, crystal clear question. And so, if I must repeat, the first question is, what are the best solutions to improve the quality of education? And the second question is, if you're the Minister of Education, what would you do to improve the quality of education in the country? Each one of you will have 1 minute to respond. So I'd like to give the floor to you to respond, please.
So what is the best solution for education? Okay, so the best solution for education to improve our education, so we need to adapt some countries' curriculum, because now we are our system of curriculum is less. That's why we have to adapt some countries' curriculum, so we may have a good quality of education. Thank you.
That is for the first question. If you could also answer for the first question.
Yes, I can answer for the first question. The first question is asking what is the best way or the best solution to solve the problem, the quality of education. Here I have 2 solutions that we must implement to the formation in the school. The first solution is the government must put more attention to the education of East Timor. Why? Because in some school, like in other district, we don't still have it yet, that an infrastructure that given and a best quality during the process of learning. So I can conclude that the government of East Timor must pay attention more to the quality of education. And the second one is the government of East Timor must allocate more funds to East Timor education system.
Big round of applause, please, thank you. So again, that was the first question that is being asked. Now I'd like to, of course, invite you to ask the second, to answer the second question, which was asked, if you're the Minister of Education, what would you do? Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. If I'm a Minister of Education, I will be taking serious of education system in our country. Not just taking serious, but looking all of the problems that the school have faced during independence. So that will reduce the problems and to develop the country or the education system that we have in our country. That's all.
That was a very good response. Big round of applause. That is for the second question. Of course, if I could invite you to be participating in that, if you could answer that question. If you're the Minister of Education, what will you do? As to what the question that has been answered, if you could elaborate further if you're the Minister of Education.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks for the time. I am a Minister of Education. I'll be.
Okay, so in the future I'll be a Minister of Education. So I have to develop the quality of education, because now the reality, some school, the teachers, they just they try, if in the future I be a Minister of Education, I have to change it, and I have to develop education of this, so other country can be proud of our country. Okay, thank you.
That was awesome. So, of course, there is a lot of energy, enthusiasm to make a change. The potential Minister of Education in the future. A big round of applause for the first question. Yes. Of course, again, right now I'm going to move on to the second judge. Madam, if you could, of course, direct your questions, 2 questions. Again, to be more specific, straight to the point. Again, not to use PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lucia de Jesus, a representative of Timor-Leste debating group as well. Before to ask my question, I would like to say my greetings to the debaters and to the audience and to the viewers, wherever you are. Yeah, thank you so much. Wherever you are, and good to be here and to be the judge for one of the best moments for developing Timor-Leste education system as well. So, back to the question. First of all, I would like to point out that from both sides are very focusing on language. So, my question is according to our Constitution, Article 1313, as stated that Portuguese and Tetun as our official languages. However, in our Constitution, Article 159 also stated that our working language is Portuguese, is Indonesian, it's Portuguese and English as well. So my question for both sides is that does having multi-language, many languages in our curriculum system is give a good benefit to our education system or not? If it's yes, why? And if it's not, why? The second question is, do you think, to the debaters for both sides as well, do you think family roles to improve our education system in Timor-Leste is important? If it's important, why? And if it's not, why? Thank you.
Those two questions are really good questions. And this is important. These questions that have been directed to our contestants, they'll have an opportunity to answer. So, of course, the first question, if I can summarize it, having multiple languages in our system, is it good for the system? Why? Yes or no? If yes, what are the reasons? If not, what are the reasons? I'd like to start with you if you can answer those questions. The first one first. You've got 1 minute. Thank you.
Okay, so can the host repeat again?
The benefits of using multiple languages in the country for the education system, what are the benefits? And so if I could give 2 minutes for those two questions, please, thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, so it's the best curriculum in our country of education. So we need to plus more again about our knowledge. So we may have, develop this country. Thank you.
And to you, if you can answer that question, thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to answer the first question. Yes, it is important because the reason is if you have multi language, that will give us a multi capacities or skill and opportunity for us to know every language. So because if you know all many languages or some 4 or 3 languages, we'll be able to understand more and to speak with others with a good language, because we already learning in education there in the school. Thank you for that.
Very good answers. Following on to that, the next question, I'd like to start with you, but of course the question was, are the parents' roles improving education in the education system? If that is correct, if you could elaborate the parents' roles that they play in our life, does that improve our, of course, the quality of our education at school, of course, at home as well, but that overall, if you could answer that, thanks. 1 minute. Please clarify if you've got.
No. Yeah. Okay. For the second question, I will be answer in a short way that the parents are must be the parents have to be more attention or put more attention to the children, or maybe in example in our school, my juniors students that in the class A and department técnico linguagem de programação, the parents that his parents have made a list of every system that in the education or in our school activities. So to know that his sons have going to the school or not. This is the example or the good example for all the students to made or to use or to do what his parents have given the example. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I think that was, of course, a good response. That was a very good question, and they understood it very clearly that parents' support in assisting the kids in terms of looking at what they're doing, what they can support at home to contribute towards the children's development is important. Of course, that second question, again, if you could elaborate on that. Again, the same question that has been asked by one of our judges, if you could respond to that. The roles of parents in our improving our quality of education.
So the role of parents have to support the children for every programs, because we know that if we wanna be successful, the parents is as the first person to support the children, so the children may have successful. If no parents, or if without parents, the children will not have this successful. That's why the role of the parents must support the children. So the children may have successful in the future. Thank you.
A big round of applause. So just quickly, I know that many parents are probably watching TV right now, joining us in the debate. What are the messages that you'd like to tell parents that may have not put attention to their children on a daily basis to assist them in the learning process? If you could just conclude quickly, 1 minute.
I have a message for the parents. Say, if you want your children to have a better education, the first thing that is important is the biggest important or the biggest supporting is from the parents. The children cannot go forward if there is no supporting from their parents. Supporting is very important for the children to their parents.
Very strong message. A big round of applause. If you could add also, just quickly.
So I want to say some words about the parents. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for everything. Without you, I might not be the person I'm today. Thank you.
Applause. Again, this has been a very good debate. According to my opinion, of course, everybody has their opinion in this. But of course, for what I see, they have demonstrated really well that the learning progress that you at home as parents have supported, and of course there is a lot of issues in our education system, but it shows that there has been a lot of progress. Again, as the new generation of the country, they have a lot of critiques of our education system because it's a democratic country. But of course there is a lot of work that the government has put in every single day to make sure that we're improving it over time. I know that they have done a good job, but as you can hear directly from our children, that there is a lot that needs to be improved. Wherever you are, you're joining us this evening for this debate. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, I'd like to invite you guys to of course, just shake your hands. Thank you so much. Of course, we have another session coming up. If you can stay tuned, that will be great. Grab some coffee quickly. In 15 minutes, we'll start again. Thank you very much.
Pro contra ideias e assunto, ideologia, política, justiça, defesa, segurança, economia, social, educação no cultura, exclusivo, crítico no construtivo, TVE debate, sai inspiração para o futuro.